With an ongoing GPU shortage across the globe, building a gaming PC right now seems almost impossible. With prices skyrocketing on PC components, not just on graphics cards but CPUs as well, should you even consider building a gaming PC in 2021, or are you just better off just holding your breath for a while and wait for the prices to hopefully go down? Well, in today's video, I'm gonna try my best, guys, to build a gaming PC using PC parts that you should be able to pick up at close to MSRP. Now, while this PC won't cost you $1,000 to buy, it will offer great 1080p gaming performance, as we are about to dive into after we complete the PC build. Now, if you like this type of content, you definitely don't want to miss my next gaming PC build. It would mean the world to me if you can smash up the like button and watch all the way till the end. That will ultimately help YouTube to push the video to more people and ultimately let me make more videos for you guys in the future. Anyway guys, in today's video I'm going to run you guys through the entire building process from start to finish, how to put this PC build together, and then we're going to test out the PC and a whole lineup of some of today's most popular games. Now, all items you see me using can be found linked up down below, and we got some really powerful components for today's build. And taking a greater look at the parts, let's start with our CPU pick. This is the Core i5-11400F, which is Intel's latest 11th gen Core i5 processor, a 6-core and 12-thread CPU with a base clock of 2.6 and a boost clock of 4.4. Now, I've seen a few comments asking why Intel over AMD, and that is a great question. Looking at a quick comparison between AMD's similar offerings shows that the 11400F does great in games, but only when it's paired up with a decent cooler. See, AMD bundles their CPUs with a great budget cooler, Intel however doesn't, so we're gonna wanna spend a few extra dollars here for something that works. Now, this is one of Arctic's most popular budget CPU coolers called Esports Freezer 34 Duo, coming in at around $40. Now, this cooler is going to allow our CPU to truly stretch its legs without running too hot and cause something called thermal throttling, which we obviously want to avoid. Anyway, to install the CPU, we're gonna need a motherboard. So coming in at around $100, this is the Asus B560 Prime Plus. This is a quality budget ATX motherboard that got support for overclocking, and this includes both memory and CPU. We find decent heatsink over the VRMs and a heat shield over one of two SSD slots, which is quite nice to see. Now, if you do want to get away a bit cheaper, I recommend having a look at the DS3H from Gigabyte, coming in at around $99. To install the CPU, all we need to do is to line up the triangle located at the lower left side corner with the triangle on the motherboard socket, pull back the retention arm, line up the triangles and simply drop the CPU in its socket. Return the metal arm back down and this will release the socket cover. The cooler installation process is quite simple, so we take the included backplate, match it up with the cooler installation holes and install the 4 included standoffs. Then we apply a little bit of the included thermal paste and position the heatsink over the CPU so that the 4 standoffs align with the 4 outer holes on the cooler. And carefully secure the cooler using the 4 included thumb screws. You simply want to tighten these until you feel a little bit of resistance, and that is it for now. We're gonna wait a bit with the fans until we are done with the power supply installment, cable routing basically. Moving on to the RAM for today's build, and we're gonna use this. This is the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB kit and it currently sits at around $70. Find the notch on the RAM DIMM slot and line it up with the corresponding notch on this slot. Pull back the clips for the second and the fourth DIMM slot, and then it's just a matter of sliding both sticks into each slot, and that is pretty much it. Following that, guys, we have storage, and for today's budget I recommend spending between $40 to $60 on storage. Now, I do recommend a M.2 drive as it's 1, super fast, and 2, it's easy to install, doesn't require any extra cables. With that said, you find my top favorite picks listed down below. Finally, we got the case. This one comes from NZXT called H510. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the more budget-friendly cases out there, and it offers decent cooling, a sleek and minimalistic design, and premium materials from top to bottom. If you opt for the H510i, which is sort of NZXT's premium variant of the case, you also get a smart hub and 2 LED strips that let you customize fan curves and colors in a wide variety of ways. Now, if you're looking for the ultimate budget airflow case, I recommend having a look at the P300A instead, which offers similar build quality for $60. Now, I do recommend adding an extra fan for this setup. Anyway, before we slide in the motherboard, we're first gonna need our IO shield. Comes included inside the box with our motherboard. Now simply pop this in with the circular holes located at the bottom, and then yeah, it's just a matter of sliding in the motherboard and securing it using the screws that comes provided by NZXT. Then grab the power supply, slide it into its slot, make sure that the fan is facing downwards and secure it. Now, I'm not gonna go over the cabling in today's video. You can simply watch any of my previous videos for exact details, how you should go about setting everything up if you're interested. And with the cable routing basically out of the way, we can move on to the single most exciting component. I'm obviously talking about the graphics. Now this is the Geforce GTX 970, which was released all the way back in 2014. But hear me out, guys, this GPU can still deliver a great gaming experience in 2021 thanks to DX12 support and 4 gigs of VRAM. Or yeah, technically 3.5. Anyway, the 970 is powerful enough to run most games at 1080p at around medium to high settings. And we're gonna look into the performance in greater detail in just a second, guys. But yeah, as we can see here, World War Z Aftermath runs pretty good at full HD at high settings, as you guys can see. Now spec wise, again, because the 970 only got 4 gigs of memory, you can't really do 1440p with it, and games such as Cyberpunk 2077 isn't something that I would recommend getting into, but pretty much any other game will run pretty alright on the 970. Now to give you guys a better idea where the 970 sits in terms of performance, here is a pretty good overview. And to top that off, here is a side-by-side comparison between the 1660 and the 970 in Apex Legends at 1080p high settings. Now because of the ongoing GPU shortage, the 970 can be a bit tricky to find at the right price. However, I do recommend you guys to stay calm here and avoid rushing into the first 970 deal you can find. The 970 can be found on eBay running between $100 to $300, and I recommend you guys to not spend more than $130 to $140 here. If you find picking up a GPU from the used market being a bad idea and you'd rather buy a new one, I recommend having a look at the 1650 Super or the 1660, and both are linked up down below. Another alternative can be to pull the trigger on an APU with built-in graphics as a stopgap until prices are back to normal again. Now, if we take a look at the gaming performance running a wide range of some of today's most popular games, we can see that the 970 is able to provide high and smooth frame rates in most of the games tested. 1080p at medium to high settings is what I recommend for the 970. Now, here is what the final part list is looking like, guys, and you find all PC parts listed down below. Now, this video took me a lot of time to complete, so guys, it would mean the world to me if you left a like or a dislike, and thank you so much for sticking around this long. Make sure to subscribe to never miss any of my future gaming PC builds. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I cannot wait to show you my next gaming PC build project.